Welcome once again to swingature.com, our video blog, roughly weekly. Today we're going to talk about kind of a progression of what we've been talking about in the past. We've talked about some practice ideas and how much to practice and what practicing happens to actually be. And we've also talked about starting the motion with some movement relationships and how about the kinetic link, how there's different parts, the golf club, our arms, the upper body, torso, shoulder, and then the lower body, pelvis, etc., and how those all work connectively. One of the last times we talked about how the arms need to be educated to drive the club. Today, we want to talk about how the torso is going to drive the arm. Now, there's a real, kinetic relationship here about acceleration of the torso and then the stabilization of the torso, and that causes the reaction and release of the arms. And it's kind of complicated to do in a video environment. To help explain that, there's a little bit too much dynamic stuff going on. But what we can do is this. To elevate the success of the body being able to drive the arms and transfer energy to the arms, the one thing we want to make sure we do is make sure that we have our arms maintaining a reasonably effective connection to the torso. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how much backswing should we create. For years and years and years there was talk about, you want to get that club to parallel and etc. And some of the best players in the world were doing that. And it was, still talk about some players go beyond that relationship. But we want to talk about what the right length of backswing is. And this is based on your physiology, your flexibility, and your strength. And if you look at golfers around the world and all different players, there's a great different, a vast array of different physiologies, different size, different shapes, different strengths. What we're trying to do is create a relationship where our body works connectively, and when it comes to our backswing, it has a lot to do with how well our arms work with our body, and the size of the backswing should be based on the flexibility and strength of each individual person and their physiology. So, what does that all mean? What we're going to talk about right now is a very simple exercise to first determine how much arm swing you should have in relation to your torso, and then how much flexibility we have in the torso and pelvis to determine how much rotation we should get and how much backswing that will create. So the first little exercise test is this. You stand just kind of natural, comfortable, and all you're going to do is extend your lead arm. So for a right-handed golfer, it'll be your left arm. I'll just set this down. We're going to extend our left arm, but we want to keep this in mind. We're trying to maintain the activation of the muscles that hold your shoulder blade against your rib cage. There's a couple muscles in there, we don't need to discuss them. But what we do not want to do is have the arm reaching so that my shoulder blade and shoulder shift forward. We want to just kind of keep arms at our side and let that arm extend. Now once we've done that, now maintain a very stable torso. What I suggest is just put your fingers on your sternum and make sure that your sternum stays pointing forward. You're going to take your lead arm and just gently work it across your chest. And at some point, you're going to start to feel a pinching of that pec muscle relationship between the shoulder and the pec. Now, if you happen to be a very big barrel-chested guy and strong, this may not travel very far. And if you happen to be a much slighter person, wider shoulders and a little narrower chest relationship, you might get a little more travel across the chest. But all we want to do is we want to check and see how far this can travel. I would suggest doing this in front of a mirror so you can see that you're not turning the body. I've had people go through this little test and you see them do this and they're like, oh yeah, I can turn to here. But the reality is they've turned their shoulders 20 or 30 degrees, so this is not a realistic distance or measurement. So just stay stable, let your arm come across your chest, and now feel that little bit of pressure in the pec muscle against your arm. That is your limit, so then just back off a fraction from there to reduce a little bit of that pressure, and that is going to be the distance your arm is going to travel in relation to your torso. We're now going to determine how much arm swing we should have, how much height we should have to the backswing by simply letting our body go into its golf posture and rotate with that test. So we go into our test relationship, rotate it across, now go into your golf posture, and now I'm going to simply turn my shoulders, and that's done by trying to take your right shoulder behind your head. Don't think about your lead shoulder because the shoulders have about 20 degrees of mobility and it's only forward. So unfortunately, too often you see people, you hear commentators, you see golf discussions about getting your left shoulder, if you're a right-handed golfer, behind the ball or behind your chin. And you can see that with that mobility, I can actually move that shoulder quite a bit towards my chin without making this budge at all. So we want to keep in mind that the movement needs to be rear shoulder related. So there's the test, golf posture. Now turn your right shoulder as far back behind your head as you can. And when you do that, that will determine how far your arm should be able to travel. And that's my backswing. So now, the height the golf club gets to, or the image the golf club creates, is based on the mobility of your wrist, how much you can hinge, and that little experiment of how much my arm should travel across my body based on the physiology of my chest, and then also how much trunk mobility I have. So, if I was to do this with the swingature in hand or with the golf club in hand, we'd simply first do this. So now I've reached that limit, and now I'm going to tilt into my golf posture, and now I'm going to rotate my shoulder behind the head, and there's my backswing. And you can see for me, I come up a little short of parallel. That's where I should swing the golf club to. That's my limit. So often people are so concerned about getting that club to parallel or taking a real long swing to create power. Now their arms disconnect from their body. When your arms reconnect, otherwise your torso will not drive your arms, and when your torso hopefully stabilizes, won't fire the arms. What ends up happening is we disconnect the arms, now the arms become the power source, and people have arms as their power source complain about the fact that they can't throw the ball very well, or they can't hit the ball very far. We want to have ultimately the pelvis driving the torso, which we'll talk about in the future. But right now, if we were to use a throwing reference, we want to have the torso driving the arms. There's the rotation of the torso, and in so doing, I can drive the ball much better. Or in our golf reference, if I go through my backswing turn based on my flexibility and my support and strength, that's my backswing. And now, when I unwind, now the torso will drive the arms. It's a very simple exercise to go through. Try it, take it slow. I think you're all going to find that your backswing is shorter than what you've probably made it in the past, because your arms were actually disconnecting from your body, and now you have to try to reconnect them. And that breeds inconsistency, and it definitely robs you of power. So work on that, watch the video, make sure you go through the process in the little experimentation, the little test relationship, and then try to apply that to your golf swing. And all you really want to try to do, again, arm across, so you feel that little binding, release it a bit, tilt to your golf posture, rotate the torso, there's the backswing feeling, and then what you're trying to get a feeling for is, what do my muscles feel like? I'm just trying to become aware, and now you can take some swings to that same point. And once you've done that, then go ahead and apply it to some forward swings and then apply it to a golf ball. Work on that. I think you're going to find a lot better connection relationship. It's going to elevate your consistency, and you might even find the ball's going significantly farther because you're not using just your arms. You're starting to incorporate some of the torso to arm delivery. All right? We'll talk to you soon.